and welcome once again to Yoga for Kids and Their Adults. My name's Tony. I'm here at Me Time LLC, a massage and yoga studio here in Troy, Alabama. This program is sponsored in part by the Charles Henderson Child Health Center. They are a pediatric physician and dental office taking care of children from birth to age 19. They fund this program through a grant that they received from the Children's Trust Fund, whose purpose is to prevent child abuse and neglect. Thank you for joining me once again. Last week we went over different yoga poses we could do when we were angry. But now as we're approaching February, this is our last full week in January, we're starting to prepare our hearts for, can you guess which holiday it is? That's right, it's Valentine's Day. And I know that there's a lot of different pink and red and hearts and cutesy little cupids and ruffles and those kind of decorations all around. And they seem to be celebrating mostly just couples finding one another. But today we are going to focus on a different kind of love, and that is self-care. Because caring for yourself enough to take care of yourself is a form of love as well. So, you're not going to need a whole lot today. We're just going to be using our bodies and our minds as we breathe and move. And hopefully we can do so without, knocking someone else down or hitting or kicking someone. So you are going to need some space. If you happen to have a yoga mat, go ahead and get it out. If you don't have a yoga mat, that is fine. You can use a towel or a blanket or just the bare floor, and that should be more than sufficient for our purposes today. Now, if you do have someone else practicing with you, make sure you do have enough space that you can walk from side to side without kicking or elbowing or otherwise interfering with that person's practice as well. We also want to make sure that there's not any furniture in the area that can hit us or knock us out as well. So, once you have your space set, we're going to focus on some self-love for the holiday. So, we're going to start, as always, with a little breathing. That way we can move into tying our breath with our movement, doing all of our movement, and then settling it back down with some breathing practices. So, we are going to start by first getting into a comfortable standing posture known as Tadasana, or mountain pose. And that's just your standard standing upright kind of pose. Your feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. There we go, shoulder width apart. Bend your knees, make sure that your hips are over your heels, your knees are over your arches. Your shoulders should be back so that your torso is upright, and your shoulders should be over your hips. Ears should be over your shoulders. It might feel like you're doing a back bend, but I promise you, this is neutral for your spine, and it is a glorious example of self-care. And then your arms should be at your side like this. So, to start with breathing, bring your right hand up on your chest, your left hand over on your belly, and go ahead and feel the different movements that happen as you breathe. What do you feel happening? How are your hands moving? Paying attention to these little movements is going to help center you here and now in the present. That's called being mindful. And a mindfulness practice is definitely a self-care, self-love kind of practice because it helps you de-stress, it helps you relax, and it helps improve your sleep quality and quantity. So again, you're breathing. What are your movements telling you? Mine are telling me that this hand on my chest is going up and out as my rib cage rises and falls, and my belly is coming down and out as I inhale and exhale. What is your breathing telling you? We have to learn to listen to our bodies and honor what it's telling us. As we go through today's routine, we're going to continue to honor what our body is telling us by not pushing ourselves further than our bodies are willing to go. This time of year, it is cold, so I don't expect you to be able to jump off of buildings in a single bound. You need to honor what your body is telling you. If you look down and see, hey, that's too far to go, that's fine. Honor your body's wisdom. Okay? Now, again, we're breathing. We are bringing ourselves in tune with our breath. And now we're going to start moving in sync with our breath. Bring your hands down to your sides. You're still standing in your mountain pose. And to start, we're going to breathe in by bringing your hands up overhead. And breathe out, letting them float down to your side. Do this about 5 times at your pace. Again, we're honoring what our body is telling us. So inhale and exhale. Now, on your next inhale, notice what my shoulders are doing. They're staying down and away from my ears. They're not coming all the way up here. So make sure you're practicing that when you're inhaling and bringing your hands up overhead, and then exhaling and letting them fall to your sides. Good job. So now that we've gotten some movements, let's try to warm up our body a little bit. And we're going to continue inhaling, bringing our hands up overhead. Exhale, this time dive down as far as you can. Again, listen to what your body's telling you. If this is as far as you can go, that's fine. Don't push yourself into hurting yourself just to do a yoga routine. All right, listen to what your body's telling you it is and is not willing to do. So you're going to hang out here for about 3 to 5 breaths. You're going to bend your knees, bring your hands up, and it looks like you're sitting in a chair. This is chair pose. Wonderful. Hang out here for 3 to 5 breaths too. Again, we are going at your breath pace, okay? So inhale all the way up. Exhale all the way down again. Let your hair fall wherever it will. You can play with your toes if you can reach them. If not, you can hold on to whatever part of your legs is available to you. So go ahead and bend your knees. Bring your hands up. You're back in chair pose. Again, 3 to 5 breaths at your pace. Honor what your body is telling you. Again, this is self-care and self-love. Inhale all the way up. One more time, dive back down towards the floor. And you might find that each time you dive back down, you can go a little further than you did the last time. So again, 3 to 5 breaths here. And then bend your knees, bring your hands up, back to chair pose. Hold for 3 to 5 breaths. Doesn't matter if you breathe in through your nose or your mouth or out through your nose and your mouth. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, let your hands float down to your sides. Excellent. Now, we are going to start our self-love routine here, our self-care routine, by stretching everything from our head down to our toes. Because we do use our bodies on our everyday life, don't we? And they can get sore and stiff and just not want to move, don't they? Especially first thing in the morning. Oh, it's so difficult to get up sometimes, especially in the cold. So let's start by stretching. What's on top here? What's this called? Your head. Now, is there any joints in your head? At the base there is. And that brings us to this part of our body, which is called our necks. Very good. So let's start moving our head to stretch our necks by bringing our chin down to our chest. Hold it for 3 breaths. Inhale, exhale, and then bring your head over to one side. Doesn't matter which side you start with, as long as you remember you're going to do the same thing on the other side in a minute. Again, every position, bring the hold for 3 to 5 breaths, and then move your head back. Again, we're trying to stretch our necks for 3 to 5 breaths. And let your head rest over towards the shoulder. And then back down towards the chest. We're going to do the same thing on the other way. So head over to the side. Back. over, and down. Very good. Now let's try to make it smooth all the way around one time, and then all the way the opposite direction the next time. So start with your chin going down to your chest, and reach over to one shoulder, up and back, down to the next shoulder, and down. Imagine that your nose is a pencil and you're drawing the biggest circle you can with your nose. So all the way over, out, around, and through, all the way around till you get back here. Can you see the circle in your mind? It's amazing, isn't it? Wonderful. So now we stretched our head and neck. We need to stretch what are these things here beneath our neck? Kind of our shoulders, isn't it? That's our shoulders, and they move and they hold up lots of things, especially if you have like a big backpack for school or a big purse or a briefcase for work. My goodness, our shoulders do a lot of work for us. So we're going to start by doing small shoulder circles and then bringing our arms into it, okay? So small shoulder circles, bring them up, back, down, and forward. One more time. Up, back, down, and forward. Last time, up, back, down, and forward. Now let's bring our arms into this. Go up, back, down, and forward. Again, up, back, down, and forward. Last time, up, back, down, and forward. Now turn it around. Let's get our shoulders going the opposite way. Just the shoulders. So up, forward, down, and back. Up, forward, down, and back. Last time, up, forward, down, and back. Now let's bring our arms into this. Up, forward, down, and back. Up, forward, down, and back. Let's make this one smooth. Up, forward, down, and back. Oh, doesn't that feel amazing in your shoulders? Go ahead and roll that out there. It's good to give yourself some self-love. Now, on your back, you've got your shoulder blades, and they sit on either side of your spine. So how do you stretch those in and out? I'll tell you how. Again, another act of self-love. Give yourself a hug. Ooh, a big, big hug. And that pulls your shoulder blades from by your spine out towards the side. Ooh, it's just wonderful. Give yourself a nice big hug. Lovely. Now, let's go ahead and drop your arms. And if your left hand was on top, make it on bottom this time. Or vice versa. All right, give yourself another nice big hug. Stretch out between your shoulder blades. Wonderful. And release and relax your arms. Speaking of your arms, they need to be stretched too. So, how do you stretch your arms? Shall we start at our fingertips and work our way up? That sounds like a plan. Let's bring our hands out in front of us. Arms level with the ground, hands are pointing up, kind of like if you were doing a push-up on the wall. Now, bring one hand over to the fingers of the opposite hand and pull those fingertips back. You're going to feel that stretch all along these flexors here in the front and the bottom of your arm. Can you feel that? If not, try to change the angle a little bit until you feel that stretch. Now, this is a stretch we're feeling for, not pain. Be mindful of that. Now, once you feel like you've stretched for about 3 to 5 breaths, go ahead and bring the fingertips down. Hold on to these knuckles over here and pull that down. And that's going to stretch all these extensors here in your forearm. Those are the muscles that bring your hands up. So if you're having your hand on a mouse and it had to go up and down, or even typing, that has a lot of up and down to it too, doesn't it? Those are some very good stretches. Let's try it on the other side. So again, push-ups on the wall position. Reach back to the opposite hand, pull those fingertips back, and you should feel a good solid stretch there in your forearm. Wonderful. Again, hold it for 3 to 5 breaths, and then bring your fingertips down, grasp up here at the big knuckles and pull them down. That's going to stretch all these extensors up here in your forearm. Wonderful. Now our hands don't just go up and down, do they? Go ahead and shake them out there. They also flip up and down. They supinate and pronate. I remember that because if you supinate, you can hold a bowl of soup. If you pronate, you're prone to spilling it. Easy way to remember it, huh? So let us figure out how are we going to stretch that. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bring our arms out, level with the ground, palms facing each other. Bring one hand over the other, turn your palms out, down, in, grasp your fingers together, and bring your hands in, up, and out. And oh my goodness, I feel that twist in my right forearm. Where do you feel it? It's amazing the twisting stretch that we have here. What an opportunity to love ourselves. Go ahead and bring your hands in and down, shake them out before we do the other side. So again, bring your hands out in front of you, cross one hand over the other, opposite of what we did before. Turn our hands out, down, in, clasp your fingers together, bring your hands in, and oh, the twisting stretch. It should be on the opposite arm from before. Can you feel it? It's a wonderful, marvelous stretch. Excellent. I am so proud of you for stretching your forearms. They do a lot for us. Go ahead and bring your hands in, out, and down. Shake them out. That was a lot of stretching there. So far we stretched from our head through our neck to our shoulders and shoulder blades, all the way down our hands, or have we? I know a stretch we could do for our arms. Bring one arm straight up, bend at the elbow, use your opposite hand to grasp that elbow and pull it up and down. And that's going to give us a nice tricep stretch and a little bit of a lat stretch. And remember, we're going to honor what our body's telling us. If you start feeling any kind of pain or sharpness, yeah, you stop what you're doing right then and you let it out, okay? Here we go. And last breath, bring your arms out and down, kind of shake them out. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side here. So bring the other arm all the way up, bend at the elbow, reach up with your opposite hand and pull your elbow straight up. This is a fantastic tricep stretch and latissimus stretch. It is amazing. I can feel it all the way down to my elbow. Can you? Excellent. One more breath. And then all the way up and let your arms float down, kind of shake them out. That was a lot from our head to our hands. Now, how are we going to stretch what comes next? I bet it's the spine, your back. So how do you stretch your back? We've already done the forward bends, but we have not twisted, have we? So what you can do, standing in your mountain pose, bring your hands to prayer at heart center. And as you breathe in, bring your hands up overhead. And as you stretch out, make sure that you're elongating your spine. You're separating your vertebrae from each other. And then as you breathe out, twist and bring your hands back down to your heart center. So inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Last time, inhale up, and just bring your hands to heart center as you stand up. That's amazing. So we've stretched our head and neck, We stretched our shoulders, arms, hands, and wrists. And we did a little bit of a twist for our spine, but that's just twisty movements. What about bending and bending the other way? Well, this is where the cat and the cow combination comes from. So to do the cat and the cow, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. If you picture a cat that's scared and hissing, it arches its back, brings its hips under, puts its head down, and you have cat pose. It's not real easy to breathe in here, but it is really good to breathe out. So if cat is exhale, and then cow is just the opposite. Bring your hips and your head back, arch your back, and that is a wonderful place to breathe in. It expands your lung capacity. So exhale to cat, inhale to cow. Let's do that 5 times. Can you do that with me? Exhale to cat, inhale to cow, exhale to cat, inhale to cow, exhale to cat, inhale to cow. 2 more times. Exhale, inhale. Last time, exhale, inhale, and exhale and stand upright. That was a fantastic spinal movement. I'm so proud of you. So we've worked from our head, down our neck, to our shoulders, down our arms, to our spine, forwards. Oh, we haven't bent sideways, have we? Okay. So let us bring our feet together. Inhale, bringing our hands up overhead. And exhale, reach over to one side. That's a fantastic spinal stretch. 3 breaths here. And then inhale up to the center. Exhale down to the other side. Hold it for 3 breaths. And then inhale all the way up. Let's exhale down to the floor, or at least as far as we can go. And this is going to arch and stretch our backs as well, isn't it? And it stretches from our neck all the way down our spine to our hips. Our hips, that's what we have to stretch next. So go ahead and stand up and let us rotate our hips a little bit by going into and out of some warrior poses. All right, to do this, let's go ahead and get into a nice wide stance. Are you with me? So your feet are out wide. Turn one foot out to the side. Doesn't matter which foot you start with, as long as you know that you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Your back foot now should be either somewhere between straight forward and straight to the side. So maybe about a 45-degree angle. There we go. That looks about right. Try to keep your hips aimed forward. This is where you're really going to feel that twist in your hips. So one bends forward, one bends back. So go ahead and bend that knee that you turned to face that way. Bring your arms out level to the ground and look over towards your bent knee. This is warrior 2. This is going to help strengthen your spine and your shoulders and neck, and stretch your hips as well. Now, if we turn our palms forward and bring our back hand here over to meet our front hand, that's going to turn our foot to be in line. And bring your hands up overhead. This gives you a little bit of a back bend as well. And try to see if you can set your heel down. That means you are now stretching from your top of your head, down your spine, down your hip, all the way down to your heel. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? So here we have warrior 1. Now, to make sure we're going to get the most out of this stretch, go ahead and bring your hands down to the floor in front of your foot. Try to get your shoulder in one line all the way down to your heel. And this is going to stretch your hip over here, your hamstrings, and just about everything over here. Go Go ahead and straighten up that front knee and bring your hands over to your ankle or whatever part of your leg you can reach. This is pyramid pose. Wonderful. Now, put your hands back on the ground and walk them to the middle, turning your feet back to face the front. See if you can reach in front of you and reach your hips back. And that's stretching everything from your toes to your hips. This is an amazing stretch. But how do we get up from here? So we're going to turn our heels in, which is going to point our toes out. We're going to bend our knees. Bring your torso up so you have your hands at prayer at heart center. Inhale all the way up. Exhale with your hands back to your sides. And this looks an awful lot like how we started, doesn't it? Excellent. So now let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So turn this foot out. Turn the back foot halfway between forward and to the side. Bend this knee. Keep your hips facing forward, arms level with the ground, and turn and look over your bent knee. Can you remember what this is called? Warrior 2. Very good. Now this is going to stretch this hip here and stretch and strengthen this hip here. So now we're going to turn our palms forward and bring this back hand all the way over to meet the front. Now this is going to turn your bottom foot here so that your heel is up and your toes are pointing the same direction. Now bring those hands up and you're in Warrior 1. This is an excellent stretch for your hips and your legs all the way down and through your feet. Now bring your hands down to the floor in front of this front bent foot. Back to this runner's lunge. Again, try to have one straight line from your shoulder all the way back through your heel. This is a huge stretch for your hip flexors and your back hip. Now straighten up that back leg. Bring your hands to your ankles or whatever part of your leg you can reach. And this is your pyramid pose. This is a nice hamstring stretch and a nice calf stretch in the back. Wonderful. Go ahead and bring your hands back to the floor and then walk your hands up to the front, bringing your feet in line. Again, this is a nice wide-legged forward fold. See if you can reach your hands up forward and your hips back. That's going to intensify the stretch and give you just a wonderful self-love feeling. So now, how do we get back up? Do you remember? Turn your heels in, which points your toes out. Bend your knees. Lift your torso. Put your hands to prayer at heart center. Inhale all the way up. Exhale and let your hands float down. Wonderful. We have stretched everything from top to bottom. We've even had some strengthening exercises for our legs, our back, our shoulders. Goodness, we have had such work, such love for our bodies today. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and walk your feet back in. Get back to your mountain pose with your feet under your hips, knees are bent, shoulders back, ears back, jaw level with the ground. Bring your right hand over your chest now, your left hand over your belly, and let's see if we can get back in touch with our breath. And if you can, see if you can bend like a reed in the wind. Bend like a reed in the wind. The slow melodic movements of the body as you breathe. And then stay still, finding your breath again. And remember, your breath will always help to anchor you at the present moment. And that is part of what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is simply experiencing now. You might not think of it as something that you don't do, but most people don't. Most people walk around like they're on autopilot. Their bodies are bringing them other places. But I want you to really feel the movements of your breath. Feel those movements. Can you feel them? Your hand might rise and fall on your chest. Your hand might come out and in on your belly. And when you think you've found those movements, go ahead and bring your hands to the side. And again, I want you to give yourself a hug. Oh my goodness. Again, self-care is a type of love too. And exhale and drop your hands. Opposite hand on top. Nice big hug. And exhale and drop your hands. And now, I would like to say thank you for joining me for today's routine based on self-love. Once again, my name is Tony. I'm here at Me Time LLC, a massage and yoga studio here in Troy, Alabama. This program is sponsored in part by the Charles Henderson Child Health Center. They are a pediatric physician and dental office taking care of children from birth to age 19. They fund this program through a grant that they received from the Children's Trust Fund, whose purpose is to prevent child abuse and neglect. So thank you very much for joining me for this routine today. I appreciate you coming in and doing some yoga with me. I hope that you continue to practice until the next video comes out next week. And until then, be kind to yourself, self-love, and others. The light and spirit in me recognizes and is grateful for the light and spirit in you. Namaste.